Thank you, everybody, for the short delay here, for hanging in with us. We're waiting for a couple members. First of all, to say the meeting will now come to order. Welcome to the August 5th, 2021 meeting of the City of Raleigh Appearance Commission. My name is Corey Bates, and I am chair of the commission. The Raleigh Appearance Commission is a public body appointed by the City Council that exercises both advisory and quasi-judicial functions. The Appearance Commission's responsibilities relate to zoning and other land use matters, as well as the visual quality and aesthetic characteristics of the city. I'm going to hold off on the introductions to the quasi-judicial decisions, but since we're waiting on a few other members, if we want to go ahead and do some other business, and maybe we can do the working group reports. If Carter, would you like to discuss some of the Sir Walter Raleigh Awards and where we are with that?
Thank you, Chair. The nominations are out and live. The due date is September 13th. That's a Monday. We met as a group to talk about the categories and such, and talked about the jury. We've kind of got the format down. We've invited a number of representatives from other commissions, and we've got a few targets for kind of the non-commission invitees. So we'll have more information on that. I think we're looking to get another committee meeting going later this month to talk about details, but we're trying to narrow down dates at either the Raleigh Union Station or at Chavis Community Center. So our initial date of December 1st was not available at the Union Station, so we've looked at some other dates which are available. The December 1st date is open at Chavis, so we'll just need to make kind of a decision exactly what we want to do, and then we can kind of announce that. But again, it's a fingers crossed type of thing. I want to put a caveat on that just to let people know that, we're not completely sure, but if we do it in person, it's going to be at one of the locations. So, but we're also, typically we'll kind of put together a list of targets that we want to actually contact and make sure we get nominations from. So we'll probably put that together online and share that with you all in terms of, in kind of, if there's volunteers that will kind of chase down those nominations, that'd be great. But your firm's projects you worked on, don't hesitate to nominate. The jury is made up of some Appearance Commission members, but members from other commissions and the public. So, and then don't worry about conflicts, because if you're on the jury and you have a project coming up, we do have recusal. So just like here at the meeting. So happy to answer any questions, but get the word out, get nominations in. In terms of sponsorship, we would welcome that. I don't think we're doing an active role in putting that out there, but if you do want to sponsor the event this year, we'll be happy to take the money, I guess. So.
Great. Any questions?
Yeah, I don't have the list of categories in front of me, and I apologize, but is everything built work, or is there a category that has, like, for planning projects, or?
Landscape design would be the non-buildings, public spaces as well.
But it has to be constructed.
I'm sorry?
It has to be constructed. It can't be a planning document or something like that.
No, it's actual, yeah.
That's right.
Built.
Am I on mute? Is there a reason why we're not looking for sponsorship? Do we not need the money, or?
We did factor in this year with the changeover, the way we had our accounts. We kind of built up a surplus that we didn't really know about.
Okay.
And that had to be transferred over into a regular account. So we do need to use that money that has kind of built up over the years for Sir Walter, and we want to dedicate it to Sir Walter since it was raised for that.
Okay.
But, we decided that we're not going to turn anything away, so.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Carter. Catherine? Yeah, go ahead.
Carter, real quick, do you need our input on the dates, or are you gonna find dates and then bring them to us?
I could do the latter.
The latter,
Like
okay.
we found out our target date, December 1st, is not available.
Yeah.
But it is at Chavis, so I think it's a matter of just kind of nailing down exactly where we want to be and when.
Okay, so you don't need input from us on that?
I'll get everybody's opinion.
Okay.
I just need to find out about the other dates at Chavis.
Catherine, did you have any comments?
No.
As far as report?
No, I'm good.
Other business that anybody has that they want to discuss? The only other thing I have on my list is the meeting minutes to approve from the last. If everybody's had a chance to review those, review the meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I took a look at them. Yeah, I'd make that motion.
All right.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second that. Any other correspondence thoughts? All right, all in favor? Any, none? Okay. All right. So that being our, as far as, we will open it back up for our nominations and elections maybe after we go through the quasi judicial. I believe we have 8 now, is that correct?
Yeah.
So we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of this quasi judicial portion, and we will get started with that section of our. So today's agenda includes requests for design alternates from the city's Unified Development Ordinance. When hearing requests for design alternates, the Appearance Commission sits as a quasi-judicial body and conducts an evidentiary hearing on the requests. That means it's like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how the commission makes its decisions. The commission's decisions are constrained by the standards in the city's ordinance and the facts presented at the hearing. The commission hears and considers evidence presented at the hearing and applies the standards set forth in the state law and the city's ordinance. The commission must base its decision upon competent material and substantial evidence presented at the hearing. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards and not personal preference or opinions. The meeting is open to the public and everyone is welcome to watch. However, participation in the evidentiary hearing is limited. Parties have the right to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Witnesses may testify as to the facts in which they are competent to testify, so long as those facts relate to legal standards. In addition, non-expert witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. And for certain topics, the commission needs to hear opinions or testimony from expert witnesses. These topics include projections about impacts on property values, projections about impacts on safety, etc. We will now conduct the evidentiary hearing on today's agenda. I believe we have 3 cases. The first evidentiary hearing is item DA 004-2021, which is 901 St. Albans Drive. I believe this was requested to staff to be deferred. Michael, are you gonna?
That's correct. Michael Birch with Longleaf Law Partners. Yes, we're continuing to work both with staff and the adjoining property owner, so we'd ask for another deferral.
Okay. If there's no opposition, we will go ahead and defer that to the next meeting in September, and I believe that is September 2nd. All right. So the next evidentiary hearing case would be, let's see, DA 0011-2021, 900 St. Albans Drive. And I guess, Carter, are you going to go ahead and let me get my stuff straight here. Are you going to go ahead and present this for the staff?
Yeah, do we need to do
So,
the swearing in first?
Yes. So, Carter, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Do we need to do everybody else before we start? Or?
No, I guess I should, so when we were in the remote world, we swore everybody in, no matter if they spoke or not up front, just to make sure we were covering all of our bases. And I guess this is your first time doing this in person, which is weird. You started quasi-judicial virtually. Typically, when you're in person, you don't have to, you swear people in as they come to the podium to speak, and they only need to be sworn in once. So we'll swear Carter in now, and then he's good, and then you can swear in the participants as they come to the podium.
Great.
The only people that do not need to be sworn in are the attorneys that are representing their clients.
Thank you.
Thank you. This site is 900 St. Albans Drive. As you can see, that primarily undeveloped right now. The zoning for the property is a combination of community mixed use, 7 stories, parking limited frontage, conditional use, and community mixed use, 20 stories, conditional use. The request is following design alternates. 1, a 92-foot design alternate to the Raleigh Street Design Manual, section 9.5.2.c, which requires driveways accessing up to 80-foot wide street right-of-ways be spaced at least 200 feet apart, center line to center line, in order to construct a parking deck, entrance, exit, and service dock 108 feet apart. A 104-foot design alternate to Raleigh Street Design Manual, section 9.5.2.c, which requires driveways accessing up to 80-foot wide streets of right-of-way be spaced at least 200 feet apart, center line to center line, in order to construct a private street and parking deck, entrance, exit 96 feet apart, and design alternate to Raleigh Street Design Manual, section 9.4.8.c, which requires on-site parking areas to allow vehicles to enter and exit the parking area in a forward motion, in order to construct a service dock that requires service vehicles to reverse onto Quail Hollow Drive. These design alternates are requested in order to construct a mixed-use development on a 2.48 acre site, and I mentioned the zoning previously. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Okay, being none, I will go ahead and turn it over to the applicant to,
We do have a member of the
from staff.
Transportation Department
Okay.
staff.
Yeah, and I think, is he here for questions?
Who
I
is
think
that?
his name is Jet. I think he's just here in case you have questions.
Okay.
I will let him speak for himself if he wants to come to the podium and confirm that.
Okay. Yeah, do you have any further
I
comments?
guess it wouldn't hurt to go and swear him in just in case if he's coming
Before
up to
I-
the podium,
well,
so.
Jeff, do you swear or confirm that the testimony you receive will be the truth, the whole truth, or that you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I'll be here, happy to provide any answers to any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that being said, I will turn it over to the applicant to present evidence, and legal arguments in the supporting request. As a reminder, any evidence and arguments must focus on the applicable standards. Michael, if you'd go ahead and present, please state your name for the record, address in relation to the case, that'd be great.
Great. Again, Michael Birch with Longleaf Law Partners, 4509 Creedmoor Road, Suite 302, Raleigh 27612. Again, here on behalf of DeWitt Carolinas, who is the owner, master developer of the Midtown Exchange development. And we are here today on kind of just one aspect of that development, which we'll get into in just a moment. But I do think it's helpful to kind of understand the broader context that this building, this development will fit into. Of course, there's one parcel highlighted here, but the Midtown Exchange development goes really from Big Branch Creek all along the south side of St. Albans to Benson Drive, down Benson Drive to where the existing One Renaissance office building is, down to just on the north side of those existing apartments. You can kind of, I'll outline better here, kind of the extent of the Midtown Exchange development. It's a little over 40 acres. It was rezoned back in 2015 for a significant amount of residential, office, retail, up to 20 stories in building height. I believe you all saw the first kind of phase of this development come through with the office building. I believe there's a building massing request that came to the Appearance Commission. So that site plan has been approved, and so the This request is associated with the second site plan, which is a multifamily, largely a multifamily building over ground level retail. As Carter mentioned, these are the three requests that we have. Two of them relate to driveway spacing and one a reverse movement. Just before I turn it over to another member of the team, I just want to highlight where those are for you so you can kind of be thinking about that as it kind of describes the building and everything else. So here we have a private street that connects Quail Hollow Drive, which Quail Hollow Drive is here. This is coming from St. Albans south to a roundabout off of, again, St. Albans kind of runs along the north side of the page there. So this is a street, Quail Hollow Drive, that DeWitt Carolinas is constructing as a part of this development. It is a public street. They have elected to place a planted grassed median down the middle of the street as opposed to having it as a, just a center turn lane. So all the movements that we're talking about are restricted to right in, right out. So there's the private street. This right here is the entrance to level 1 of the deck. And then this area here is the driveway that serves loading and service for a portion of the development. Novell will get into kind of where in the building that these are will help you kind of understand why they are where they are. I just do also want to note that we have an entrance to the deck on this side as well as a loading and service area on this side as well. So, what? Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you. And let's see. This may not be the most up-to-date presentation. Was it loaded into this, or was it a different file? Do you know? Oh, okay. All right. And Corey, since this is a quasi-judicial hearing, we would ask that our application presentation materials, and I believe there are also hard copy handouts, would be entered into the record. And I believe Carter passed those around.
Absolutely.
So at this time, I'll ask Noel Hernandez, architect with Jay Davis, to come up. Noel, I'll see if I can find the best renderings for you here. All right, you may want to. I'll do my best. Well, here's the most up-to-date one, but they got that in their handouts.
Noel, if you would state your name, address, and affiliation with this project, it would.
Novell Hernandez, a project architect on this job with J. Davis Architects. That's
Thank you.
510 South Wilmington Street.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to explain to you the project. In front of you, you should have this kind of site plan, which is not on the TV. So this project, as he mentioned, is one part of a much larger development, which has this central tying element of a park, a central park. We decided to utilize that, which was the purpose of the central park, was to tie in all of the different projects around this master plan. And we wanted to have the best pedestrian experience that we could by abutting this project up against the central park. So along that face, you'll see how it undulates in and out, and that forms a pedestrian experience. There's retail, there's all sorts of engagement there. If you go to the next page, I don't know if I should flip through here. I'll just leave this on the rendering. If you go to the next page, you'll see a illustration of that central park, a portion of that central park, and how our project abuts that and engages it. You'll also begin to see how it's composed of two separate towers. In looking at it as one mass, it would have been way too imposing So we decided to split it into 2 towers instead, with a sort of inner courtyard that you could see there. You go to the next page. You'll see a portion of Quail Hollow there, and how our building engages the Central Park. We chose to have that inner street, the private street, as the vehicular road that's away from the Central Park. So as you can see with these 2 tower elements, naturally a tower design is going to want to have its own core in the center of it, and by nature, trash circulation is vertically through those cores. So we needed to have one for each tower. So the design lent itself to having access for that trash and loading dock on Quail Hollow, because it would detract from the pedestrian experience on the park side, on the south side, if we were to move that off of Quail Hollow. And as you can see, there's a parking deck north of it, which doesn't engage the core. So that was the most ideal location for those 2 loading docks. And so as you can see in the rendering here, this is looking south on Quail Hollow at one of the towers, and you can see there the entrance or the loading area. This is looking north on Quail Hollow, and in this rendering, it's not, the whole Central Park is not modeled in there. This is just so you could see from the road. And then this is the experience there, where we've kind of tucked it and recessed it further back into the building. Oh, let me go ahead and clear that. This is an overview of the 2 towers. One is sort of an L-shaped tower, and the other one is more of a square tower. So this one has a trash chute that comes down here, and this one has its own trash chute coming down here. And they each have their own move-in circulation. So if we go to another view, that's another side of the Central Park. Again, here are the 2 different areas that we're going to be discussing. So actually, it's just this one that's in question. This being waste, this being move-in. So unless you have any other questions, I just wanted to give you an overview of the project. I'll turn it back over.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. Again, I apologize we weren't able to put up on the screen some of the items that you have as a hard copy in front of you, but want to note, just to give you a sense of the size of the development, it's a little about 312 dwelling units collectively in those 2 towers, with about 20,000 square feet or so of retail on the ground level. The moving and service area that is off the private street will serve about 231 or so dwelling units and 2 out of the 4 retail bays. So about 75% of the dwelling units will be served in that area. And again, that doesn't require any alternate or anything like that. So only about 81 units and 2 retail bays, about 10,000 square feet will be served off of Quail Hollow Drive. So kind of at least relationally significantly less, and again, about 25% of the development. This exhibit here, which is also your hard copy, again, it identifies the distances between the driveways, the parking deck, private street, and then the service area there. We worked extensively during staff review with transportation, both on planning, plan review, operations side, primarily focused on the loading and service area and the reverse movement proposed in Quail Hollow Drive. Given that all of the movements are restricted to right in, right out only, there was not much discussion about the separation. So we really focused on the loading and service area. During that review process, number one, we enlarged the loading and service area off of Quail Hollow Drive in order to, and kind of gave it additional depth in order to accommodate trucks and eliminate any kind of loading, staging, impact, truck overhang into the road, travel lanes. And so we gave that additional depth. We also recessed it in the building as well. There were, I think in your staff report, you noticed there was a comment about the kind of turning movements and possible impact on the median. We increased the radius for these movements in order to allow for the entry and exit for both trash and loading to be accomplished in one movement, so avoiding 3-point turns. We got into the details of the type of kind of gates or doors for the service area and committed to the kind of automated high-speed roll-up gates. To focus on pedestrian safety, we added kind of truncated dome slopes on either side of the drive apron to increase pedestrian safety. As a result of all those changes, both the move-in trucks and the trash service trucks, based on their kind of new movements with all these design changes, no longer impacts the median. The wheel movements on these exhibits no longer impact that planted median. I also want to note that we kind of use the worst case scenario in terms of the size of the truck for both move-in and loading and service. We're showing the movements associated with a 3-bedroom moving truck here, although we expect that there only be 1, maybe 2 3-bedroom units that would use this move-in location. And second, this, again, trash truck was kind of the worst case scenario that we used. And again, the movements of that truck in one swift motion do not impact the planted median or the curb there. Do want to note, just there was, Novel mentioned kind of the need for these 2 different service loading locations because of the 2 towers. I also want to note, just from a design standpoint and service standpoint, that there's also about 19 feet of grade from kind of where the Quail Hollow is to where the other public street is to the east. And that's kind of why this private street, is not a straight private street, but still instead curves. And that's because we cannot accommodate the grade with just a straight private street. But this deck access actually goes to the, call it level 1 of the parking deck, whereas the deck access up here goes into level 3. So just to give you a sense of kind of the grade change that's being accommodated on the site by this building. And so there's really not the opportunity for, again, kind of utilizing one location for loading and service, not just because of the 2 towers, but also because of the grade. So just to, again, touch on some of the findings for all of these requests. Again, we provided our responses, updated those responses after the working with staff through these, and I'll just touch on them briefly. So the first is that the design alternate meets the intent of the street design manual. Again, the intent of that is to provide for adequate, well-connected development, necessary facilities to serve, protect all users of the Raleigh's transportation system. Again, we think it's, from a spacing standpoint, given that Quail Hollow Drive is median divided, all of these turns are right in, right out, that the distance is sufficient. Also taking into account the kind of sight lines of the street as well, more than enough sight lines looking back to your left before turning right. Also, from a again, kind of loading and service area, you heard from Noble the kind of thoughtful intent of trying to place the building and the activity on the ground level directly on the park. That really kind of accomplishes the intent of a lot of the street design manual, and the result of that is having to locate that second loading and service area somewhere else. And so we've located it where we have off Quail Hollow Drive, but we've tried to limit the amount of its use in terms of the number of units as well as the amount of retail that uses it. The next standard doesn't increase congestion or compromise safety. Again, the right in, right out restricted movements certainly speak to that. Also, this is a interconnected deck, so there are, again, two ways to get in and out of the deck, which is also, from a safety standpoint, very important to have those two access points. And from a loading and safety standpoint, again, we have made a number of changes from a design standpoint to limit the need for 3-point turns. It's one swift movement. We're not impacting that median. We have tried to accommodate and prioritize pedestrian safety by, again, providing those slope dome truncated ramps along the sidewalk, and again, recessing that entry as well. The other standards are very straightforward. This won't create any additional maintenance responsibilities for the city. I think, again, at one time where our turning radiuses were showing the trucks impacting the median, we had offered providing some additional concrete in that median area. Now that we've reduced, even in the worst case scenario, the impact to the median, we're not showing that anymore. Again, I think it's one of those issues, if it does become a problem, we can address it in the future, but we think even in the worst case now, with all the design changes we've made, that will not cause any additional maintenance responsibilities for the city. Again, design alternate has been designed, certified by a professional engineer, won't adversely impact stormwater collection and conveyance. Really, all of that is being handled by the water feature that you saw in that central park area, and nothing about what we're doing here changes that. And then last, design alternates deemed reasonable, really because the burden of compliance is not reasonable given the size or the site or the intensity of the development. I think you all are seeing a lot of these requests driven, less so by suburban developments, but much more so by these compact, dense, urban developments. Certainly from a driveway spacing standpoint, given the need to accommodate a lot of people getting in and out of the site, but then also from a reverse movement. Again, in a suburban location, there's a lot more area to accommodate turnarounds on site. We've tried to do that with this other loading and service area off the private street, where we're not impacting a public right-of-way. And in this case, we think the burden of having to put a loading and service area between the building and the central park area is just kind of overly burdensome and unreasonable, and really will negatively impact the experience of the entire Midtown Exchange project. So, again, myself, I'm here, as well as Noble Hernandez with Jay Davis. We also have Stephen Beatty with DeWitt Carolinas, the developer, as well as Jake Buzzle, the professional engineer, project engineer with Advanced Civil Design. So, thank you, and we're here to address any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Mr. Birch. Any other questions from the commission? Yeah, go ahead.
Michael, I got a quick one. Conceptually, what's planned across Quill Hollow from this site?
May I ask Stephen Beatty to come up and speak to kind of the plan for across Quail Hollow. Of course, it'll be, Quail Hollow is median divided the whole way. So any kind of development or trips generated by the development on the other side, will not kind of impact these driveways directly, but residential. Here, if you want to come up.
Stephen, before you begin, if you could state your name and address for the record, and I'll.
Hey, Stephen Beatty with DeWitt Carolinas at 3301 Benson Drive, Suite 103.
Let me go ahead and swear you in. So, Stephen, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
In regards to what's planned on the other side of Quail Hollow, the initial plan that was released was an actual senior living facility. Market changes have changed that plan, and as of right now, that is a market-driven question that I can't answer.
Any other questions for the applicant? Mr. Birch, if you could just clarify, I thought I saw something in here about block perimeter, but there's no request for block perimeter, from what I understand, right?
Correct.
So
No,
it's really the two driveway spacings and it's the reverse maneuver.
that's right.
Can you elaborate on the reverse maneuver and how that is not affecting public safety?
Yes. Make it, maybe this will be the best for right now. So, with regard to the loading and service in the reverse movement, so how these vehicles will do this is they'll kind of pull up and then reverse in, and then head out front ways. So it's reversing into these spaces, both for loading, moving trucks and trash. So in our conversations with staff, we focused a lot on operations and discussing the operations. So first of all, from a moving standpoint, this area only serves 81 units. From a, I don't want to say frequency standpoint, but in terms of what happens when someone's coming to move in. So all move-ins are kind of pre-arranged, pre-scheduled with the on-site manager. And so what that allows is the doors to be raised in advance. It also allows an on-site employee to assist with the reverse operations of the truck and the other vehicles on the street. So again, scheduled, coordinated move-ins, open door, assist with traffic control. Again, what we're showing right here is kind of worst case scenario. We would expect smaller trucks, less than that, 30 feet in length. On the trash side, again, this trash will be private service, servicing 81 units and about 10,000 square feet of retail. We expect that this will be serviced likely just once a week, possibly twice a week It just depends on the size of the compactor. If it's, but again, just we would expect once or twice a week. Those, again, would be scheduled for a specific service window, typically about 4 hours. So in that case, the on-site manager will have the door open prior to that service window and will close it afterwards. Additionally, service will be scheduled for off-peak times to reduce the likelihood of, or take advantage of the lower volume on the street. And then second, again, the on-site manager will have assist with traffic control, but also typically in the private service with these trucks that are doing reverse movements like this, they often or usually have it's a two-man crew. So one assists with traffic control while the other drives. And we think, again, by the design changes we made, the fact that this can all be done in one movement, once it stops, again, reversing in, we think that limits the conflict as well. And again, we added some pedestrian safety elements as well.
Thank you.
Pedestrian safety, it looks like there's, in some of the renderings, there might be like a change in material on the sidewalk as it crosses the driveway, or is that just all the same driveway material there?
Let me make sure I understand you. So in terms of like when the sidewalk crosses the, call it the driveway apron for that, I don't know who's the best to speak to that. Is it you?
As far as the hardscape material,
Yeah.
I would say that
If you could come to the podium, that'd be great.
in regards to the hardscape material, what has been planned is concrete sidewalk. And now it would still be concrete for this driveway apron. However, if that's something that the Parents Commission would like to see, that's something that we're willing to offer, is a change in material or a change in color to help offer some kind of pedestrian safety.
Thanks.
Michael, I had a quick question. I know some of these moving companies will put several loads into a big truck, like Atlas Van Lines. I think everybody's seen those big semi trucks that are full of several different people's stuff. Have you all thought about a plan for how you would address this, since Quail Hollow does have a somewhat narrow right of way?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of like the large trucks, I mean, I think the fact that all move-ins have to be prearranged, scheduled, I think that's the opportunity from a management standpoint to talk through about what trucks can be accommodated, by the loading area in this building. Stephen, I don't know if you have any additional thing. No, so.
What you were saying, a semi-truck won't be able to back in there then. You were saying
That's right, and these are
24, 26 foot.
correct. And by no means, I mean, were we intending or anticipating accommodating that type of truck. I think both for the trash, but even more so for the loading, the move-ins, that is, again, a coordination between the on-site management and, either the person moving in or out, or if they're put in direct contact with the company, there'll be clarity around what can be accommodated. And again, what's on the exhibits shows the max of what can be accommodated.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I've got one. So in any case, is there going to be any forward in movement for the service for the trash? Are you ever going to have dumpsters? Are you ever going to have compost bins? Or is it always a reverse in movement?
I think it's always
Yeah, as of right now, all we're planning is a reverse movement into these spaces. And as far as the roll-off containers, it's all reverse, it's not front-loaded. As far as the loading dock, again, the loading dock's in the back, so it all would be reverse movements.
Michael, in our correspondence, it suggests that the staff has requested additional information about passenger safety, passenger vehicles, and to let them know. I'm just wondering are you still working with staff to kind of alleviate some of this? I think that's kind of some of the concern.
Right. No,
is that
I think
backing up motion.
Right. I think after we received that comment is when we kind of focused on the operations and looked at all these additional steps that we could do. So my understanding is that kind of that comment was prior to what we've talked about here, but.
All right, thank you. Candace?
I have a question, but it may be more for Jed than the applicant regarding the design standards. So I'm just, my only concern, I mean, I think for vehicles with the right in, right out, like, I think that's great. I'm trying to put myself out there as a bicyclist and just wondering where the 200 feet requirement, like, if we know the reason the code says 200 feet, and if we're comfortable with bicyclists going down Quail Hollow Drive with, possibly several conflicts less than 200 feet from each other.
I guess kind of an apology. I was asked to stand in, so some of the more procedural stuff like driveway spacings, I can't speak to at length.
Okay.
To your standpoint, that is additional conflict points in close proximity. Right in, right outs are inherently less conflict points, so they would be safer for a cyclist as opposed to a full movement.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jed, hang on. Another question for you. So I think as infrequently as that service dock is going to be used, I don't have quite as much concern about that as I do the other one, the entry into the parking deck for regular vehicles being so close to that private drive, so it's less than 100 feet. Is there any guidance for a right in, right out situation, how far those two should be spaced apart?
Let me see. Is this the location you're talking about, that one right there?
Yes.
If it's right in, right out, and you're talking to proximity to this private street, correct?
Correct.
And repeat your question one more time.
Just, is there any guidance about how far those should be spaced apart if it's a right in, right out situation?
Again, I'm the city traffic engineer. This is outside my purview, but I can speak from an operational standpoint. Generally, for right in, right outs, I can't imagine that being a significant concern, having right in, right outs. If that private drive were full movement access, that would be a different story. But seeing as though they're all right in, right outs, that would be very minor concern.
Okay, thanks.
Just to follow up on that a little bit, I will note again, there's a traffic circle down here, which is again kind of a natural traffic calming device. And so the speeds along this, again, one travel lane, not two. So just one travel lane coming out of that traffic circle. And both of these, at the deck and the private street are stop conditions as well. So, and again, we were trying to move that. And again, we tried to push it as far from the private street as we could, given the deck design.
I'd also just like to thank you for all the material that you provided us. There's a lot to absorb here, and it's not as much as what we normally get. So thanks for giving all of this to us, including auto turns and elevations and all that good stuff.
All right, if there are no other questions, we will now hear from individuals wishing to provide testimony from the general public. Is there anybody from the general public wishes to speak? All right. I'm assuming you have no rebuttal, but do you have any other closing statements you'd like to provide? Okay. All right, being none, we will go ahead and close this for deliberation, motion and voting. Any other thoughts, comments within the commission?
I'd say if the applicant's willing, I think it would be great to have some sort of material change where the sidewalk crosses those driveways, just to sort of reinforce the need for everyone to be a little bit more aware.
Seems like a good idea. Is there a bike lane? I don't see a bike lane on the plans.
Yeah, there is a bike lane, and the applicant consents to that condition.
All right, so I don't know that we went through these, but there are several findings, and just want to make sure everybody's clear on the findings and that we feel comfortable with them. So the approved design alternate meets the intent of Articles 8.4 and 8.5 of the Raleigh Street Design Manual, which he went through pretty good lengths, and I tend to agree that it's a well-connected development. Street connections, the proximity of the private street, it's a private street, the single lane, right turn, right in, right out. The approved design alternate does not increase congestion or compromise safety. That's what we've spent most of our time on. And again, I think the additional measures, and I like that suggestion with the change of material, which they have consented towards. We can maybe discuss that a little bit further, or maybe work with staff to figure out what that is, unless we have some strong thoughts with that. The approved design alternate does not create additional maintenance or responsibility for the city, which I think we agree it does not. The approved design alternate has been designed and certified by a professional engineer, which it has, and it will not, of course, impact stormwater collection and conveyance. So again, I think with those conditions and, with the prearranged schedule, off-peak times, I don't know if we can provide a condition.
Yeah, I'm working on some language here. You guys might need to help me with the technical terms. But you're looking for a change in would I have material type or color, either one, for the portion of the sidewalk that abuts the service driveway located off of Quail Hollow Drive? Does that cover is it the sidewalk?
Yeah.
The sidewalk.
These gray dashed lines, and I would add both the service driveway and the parking deck.
Agreed.
I mean, just from a design perspective, it seems like if you're going to do it here, just as important to do it up the north.
So that would be the same language, except for the driveway that abuts instead of service driveway, we're going to say parking deck driveway located off of Quail Hollow. Okay.
Correct. But I was also suggesting, can we maybe provide a condition based on that they do provide prearranged schedules for trucks, or, and off-peak times, or,
Yeah, yeah,
Is
you
there
can
some
do that.
language? Is there some language that makes sense for that, if that's what people,
Because otherwise they're gonna have to sit on St. Albans.
because it is, yeah, it's a,
Not St. Albans, Quail Hollow until they come out.
So what I have here is that the move-in, I have for move-ins, I don't know about, and I think also for service vehicles, and we might need to probably get the applicant's attorney to help us with this.
yeah.
But the move-in and service vehicles, the trips will be prearranged and scheduled, and that, I think there was, the doors will be raised in advance is some language I had too. I don't know if you want to have a window. I guess I would kind of ask the applicant if they have any recommended language for that.
Let's go ahead and open this back up, yeah, to the applicant, Michael. If you-
Great. So I think what we would say is for, let's handle them separately. So for move-in loading trucks, that those visits will be, prearranged and scheduled in advance, and that the doors will be opened prior to the arrival of that truck. And we can also say that an on-site official will assist with traffic control. For the trash service, that those will be, there will be I think a 4-hour window, pre-scheduled window that will be in off-peak times.
Question. So is there a way, as far as with the trash trucks that are coming in, opposed to leaving the door open with trash, for them to have some kind of device to open it themselves and things like that?
Yeah, so I think they're probably alternates. So one option is we, again, it's just a 4-hour window that it would be open. We have looked into the kind of more automated, garage opener. We haven't finalized that with the servicer, but we're good. Okay, we can utilize that technology, the kind of garage opener. Yeah. And again, in that case, traffic control will be handled either by an on-site employee or a 2-man crew.
One more thing, Michael. Part of that prearranging, I assume, I don't know if it needs to be said explicitly, but I assume they're going to confirm that the move-in trucks are of a certain size that are arriving. I think that would
Yes.
assuage some concern about a big move-in truck showing up on this small road and trying to go around that roundabout and then being out on St. Albans.
Agreed. Yes. We're fine with that, having that as part of the
Okay.
condition.
The staff have,
Yeah, thank you. In terms of increased congestion or compromised safety, I did have some concerns. They've addressed most of them. The two that I would really stress is inevitably there'll be some miscommunication between the scheduled pickup and when they come. And to me, the best way to do that is have a redundant system with a device that they can back in. So I would strongly recommend you consider that. And I think even more important than that, for the safety standpoint, roundabouts work where you slow down, you go through it, then you accelerate out. Well, this is right after the roundabout, so if a truck stops and cars are coming, the whole queue might have to back for them to get in. So again, I think it would be imperative that the development have someone out there stopping the traffic in advance so you don't have a potential for rear-end crashes. I think if those are employed, the staff's concerns can be mitigated.
thank you.
And just to confirm, it's a yes on the automatic door opener for the service, and also yes, both for service and move-ins, that a traffic control person will be out there and we can talk about where that's, but I think we get the,
Great, thank you.
I think maybe if you guys are agreeable to this, the way you could do it, because enforcement, you also, a staff person has to enforce it. And so maybe the way to write it would be that these access areas are required to have those doors of whatever specific kind, and that they are only opened for windows of time when it's been prearranged for these service or move-in trucks. Would that, Michael, would that work? For purposes of delivery, I mean, you can, but for purposes of truck deliveries, you have to, I'm just trying to word it in a way that's not staff enforcing a prearranged scheduling of.
right.
I don't want to get too in the weeds. Is what I'm
Essentially,
trying to say.
essentially the only time the loading move-in door is opened is prior to the arrival of. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and it would be helpful. It's hard to write conditions like this complex on the fly too. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we might want to take a second to try to write them.
Okay.
If you want to try to write something while the board, if you guys are still deliberating with respect to that. I think we're good on the conditions with the material type and color. But if you want to try to write something really quickly, and I'll work on that
Yep.
too regarding the doors.
Yep.
And is the concern about the automatic door opening just for the service? Or is it for the service and the
Just for
moving?
service.
It's just for the service,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So the prearranging of move-ins is enough for that door. But it sounds like maybe that's difficult to write.
I think that.
Sorry, I was working, I didn't know if you guys were going to continue deliberating. I was trying to write something.
Okay. I was just clarifying that the automatic door is just for the service, not for move-in.
Oh, is that right, Michael?
That's right. The automatic is just for the service because that's going to be the same service provider
Okay.
that comes. It's only for the move-in, use of the loading dock for move-in. That what we had suggested was, again, prearranged, scheduled.
It'd be open prior
That's
to
right.
arrival. There would be a additional person to direct traffic.
You want to try to write that out really quickly?
Sure.
For the what about the park?
For the service. This is just for the loading movement. Service, they're going to use the automated opener. I'll draft that.
Yeah, I draft that one too. I don't think about what that is. Here's what we got.
All right.
Y'all tell me what you, so for the loading dock, all delivery vehicles shall be prearranged or scheduled. The door shall be open prior to scheduled arrival and closed upon departure. An on-site employee shall provide traffic control. All right. For the trash service, the private service shall have an automatic opener. The service shall be scheduled for a 4-hour window during off-peak time. An outside employee or service crew member shall second crew member shall provide traffic control. Does that work for everyone? Okay.
Yes.
So we have those, you have those two, and then the other two conditions about the paving color. Okay.
Okay, so we've closed it to the public hearing. It's discussion amongst ourselves. Everybody good with that? Any other thoughts, comments, any concerns? Okay. I think with, I'll move that, based on my responses earlier to the findings and the additional, what do we call that? Conditions. How many conditions do we have there?
4.
4 conditions, that we move for approval.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Approved. I think that was 8 to nothing. I don't believe you were here during the whole. So yeah, so that was 8 to 0.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we'll call our third and final case, which is DA 0013-2021. It's 7001 Lewisburg Road. And yeah, Carter, if you would like to give our staff presentation, you've been sworn in.
Thank you. The applicant requests the following design alternate, a 750-foot design alternate from the 3,000 foot maximum block perimeter requirement set forth in the UDO section 8.3.2A and the Raleigh Street Design Manual section 9.1.1. It results in a block perimeter of 9,750 feet in order to permit the construction of a 234 unit apartment development located on 11.77 acres zone, community mixed use, 3 stories, parkway frontage, and located at 7001 and 7101 Lewisburg Road. As you see the zoning here, as I mentioned before, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Are you allowed to just go through the findings, or do they need to go ahead and present the findings as the applicant? Just so everybody's very clear.
Yeah,
Can staff do that ahead of time, or?
discuss the
I mean,
findings.
it's in our, not discuss them, but say what the findings are in the UDO.
Yeah, absolutely. They can tell you what the findings are. It's ultimately the applicant's burden to
Right.
go through the analysis. But yeah, if that's fine too.
I think it's helpful if the staff does it, so we can make sure that they are adhered to.
Yeah, that
Can-
sounds
can
like
you do
a
that,
good
Carter?
idea. I like that.
Okay.
Or I can.
Yes, for section 8.3.3.4 and 8.3.5, the ones that are ahead of you or in front of you, number 1, that the approved design alternate meets the intent of those sections. Number 2, the approved design alternate does not increase congestion or compromise safety. Number 3, the approved design alternate does not conflict with an approved or built roadway construction project adjacent to or in the vicinity of the site. No design alternate shall be approved when the city council has authorized a roadway project in the vicinity where the roadway design has not yet been finalized. And number 4, the design alternate is deemed reasonable due to one or more of the following. A, given the existing physical environment, compliance is not physically feasible. B, compliance would not meaningfully improve connectivity. C, compliance is not compatible with adjacent uses. Or D, the burden of compliance is not reasonable given the size of the site or intensity of the development. In terms of the Raleigh Street Design Manual, the findings are as followed: that the approved design alternate meets the intent of the Street Design Manual. Number 2, the approved design alternate does not increase congestion or compromise safety. Number 3, the design alternate does not create additional maintenance responsibilities for the city. Number 4, design alternate has been designed and certified by a professional engineer or such other design professional licensed to design, seal, and certify the alternate. Number 5, the approved design alternate will not adversely impact stormwater collection and conveyance. And number 6, the design alternate is deemed reasonable due to one or more of the following. A, given the existing physical environment, including but not limited to the following, compliance is not physically feasible. An existing building would impede roadway expansion or transitioning from a different street different street section. Or B, the burden of compliance is not reasonable given the size of the site or intensity of the development.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Do you have any other staff that would like to?
Jed is here in case there's any questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, the applicant will now present evidence and legal arguments in support of the request. As a reminder, any evidence and arguments must focus on applicable standards.
Good afternoon. My name is Isabel Maddox, Post Office Box 946, Raleigh 27602. I'm here today representing Dominion Realty Partners in connection with a multifamily development community on Fox and Lewisburg Roads. I'd like to call David Lasley up to get sworn, so we can go ahead and get that done.
David, if you could state your name, address, and your affiliation with this project.
David Lasley, 8522 Suite 204, Six Forks Road, Raleigh, North Carolina.
David, do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to submit that the application materials and exhibits that we present today be admitted into the record. As Mr. Pettibone said, we're here today requesting a variance of 6,750 feet because the block perimeter maximum for this particular property in this zoning is 3,000 feet, and we just can't meet that, and we're going to tell you why. And I have some exhibits here. There is an aerial of our two parcels. You'll see Fox Road going along here, Lewisburg Road here. So we're kind of at the corner, but we don't have that little piece right on the dead on the corner. And then there is the current block perimeter. Right now, the way the city calculates block perimeter, that's what you'd have to do, and that equals 9,750 feet. To get a compliant block, you'd have to do something like this, which require us to jump through a parcel that we don't own. Our client, this parcel right here, has been approved, has site plan approval for a self-storage facility. We have no control over that, no ownership of it, and we can't make that connection. And that, as I said, that site to our immediate west has been approved, and they didn't have a block perimeter requirement there because they were exempt. We're not exempt, but the fact that they are exempt means that the connection is virtually an impossibility. So I do want to go through, there, as Carter read out, there are many findings you have to make. There's actually two lists. One is under the UDO and one is under the street design manual. There's a lot of overlap between those lists, so if it appears in both, I'm just going to respond to it once, and I hope that's in respect of your time. I'm going to call up Mr. Lasley here, and he's going to be, and I apologize for this format, but we're going to do a little Q&A back and forth to try to check all the boxes so that you guys can make the findings you need to make. David, first of all, can you tell us a little bit about your background, professional credentials?
Sure. Graduate of Kansas State University, architectural engineering, 38 years of land planning here in the region, and 17 years with a company called Envirotech, which is an architectural and engineering firm, and then started my own firm in January of 2000. Have been doing this for 21 years there.
And have you had the opportunity to design and review a lot of site plans? during that
Thousands of
process?
site plans.
And have you looked at block perimeter issues?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so just going through our questions, the first one is do we meet the intent of the ordinance? And can tell us a little bit about what the intent is and how we meet it.
We do, and y'all will have to, or I'll apologize to you. I'm a little old school, and so I brought a hard exhibit with marker.
Can help you hold it up.
And showing this is our apartment project that we have planned. And one of the things with block perimeter is breaking up large parcels so that we can still get access to public streets. As Isabel had pointed out, this parcel has already received site plan approval for a storage facility. It was exempt, it was under 5 acres. All of these residential properties are also exempt because of the value of the improvements on those lots versus the land value. To the north, also exempt, again, because of the zoning and under 5 acres. So we're kind of stuck here in this location right here. But what we did do was coordinate our plans here with the storage facility so that we reached an agreement where we could provide cross-access through our development, vehicular cross-access all the way through to Carlton Drive here. In essence, meeting the intent of what a public street through here would accomplish by creating that connectivity. The good thing is
the block perimeter has to be on public streets, whereas this what he's talking about is actually through private properties, but it does provide vehicular.
Right, and that's why we're here as a design alternate. So we're trying to accomplish what the intent of the block perimeter requirements are out of the UDO. Now, in addition to this connection here to 401 to Carlton, we also have connections. First of all, this is a right-in, right-out drive because of the median in 401. It restricts us to right-in, right-out. Fox Road is proposed to be a 4-lane median divided roadway. Until that time, we have designed and received staff approval for a right-in, right-out driveway at this location. In addition, the storage facility is providing access here. We're providing access here. And we're also providing cross-access to the convenience store at this location, which has a drive entrance, again on 401 and Fox Road. So we think the intent of creating connectivity and accomplishing what block perimeter is supposed to accomplish, we're meeting that intent.
Okay, thank you. Next one, do we increase congestion here with this site plan?
No. In fact, we probably lessened congestion because of the interconnectivity and access to other roads around the site.
All right. Do we conflict with any City of Raleigh projects that you know of?
No.
Okay. Is it physically impossible to make a compliant block perimeter in this case?
Absolutely, and the problem is we have an approved plan adjacent to us that we don't have the ability to.
And we don't own or control that property that would be required to go through. Do you think connectivity through adjacent sites would be incompatible with those adjacent uses?
Well, one thing, we are providing connectivity through the storage facility. That normally would not be compatible, but we worked with them to get that connection through there. The properties to the north, further north, are single-family residential properties, and that would not be appropriate to have a connection of a commercial property or a multifamily development through them.
Right. Okay. So, is the burden of compliance unreasonable for this project?
Yes, of course.
Again, we're one project. We can't go build roads to satisfy the requirement. Does the proposed plan increase maintenance obligations for the city?
It actually reduces the maintenance obligation of the city because this being a private connection, private roads, the city's not burdened with the maintenance of those roadways.
And the right-in, right-outs will be private property, no city obligation there.
Correct, up to the right-of-way.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Has the design of this site plan and various transportation improvements been made by a professional engineer?
That has.
And that is your firm?
Yes, in this particular plan, Mike Snyder is the design engineer of this.
Okay. And you also had input from a traffic engineer?
We did.
Okay.
And there's been a TIA also produced and reviewed by the city of Raleigh.
And accepted by the city?
Correct.
And we will, our project will, put in any improvements required by that TIA?
That's correct, and we're actually putting some improvements in on 401 on lengthening a left storage lane 100 feet, and so that was a requirement of the TIA.
Okay. Will the design adjustment affect stormwater collection and conveyance?
No.
Is there, do you think, in your professional opinion, is the design alternate reasonable?
Yes, and again, meets the intent of what block perimeter was destined to accomplish.
Okay. Thank you. So I think, with the answers that Mr. Lasley has given me, I think we've checked all the boxes for the findings that you need to make. Now, if it would be helpful to go down those lists again and sort of reiterate or go by just by the list and tell you how we meet them, and just we'd be happy to do that. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so that's why there's so much overlap between the two lists. But if you tell me you'd like to hear us do it that way, we can certainly do that. So we think with that, we feel like we have submitted competent evidence that will allow you to make the findings that you're required to make in order to approve this design alternate. And we remain available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Maddox.
Thank you.
We will now hear from the public, if there is anybody that wishes to speak from the general public. Being none, the quarter's back to you if you have any closing statements that you'd like to add.
No,
prior
I'm
to
fine.
us. All right, any questions from the commission before they sit down? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll close this hearing and open it up for discussion amongst ourselves, the commission. Any thoughts?
Actually, I had one question I didn't quite get out for you all.
Okay, well, let's open it back up.
Sorry. The cross-access easement across the storage facility, is that going to be a 25-foot wide street? What is it?
Correct.
That's the only thing on the plans that I couldn't see, because I know it's not part of your plans, but
I'd say 25 feet. Part of it'll be 25 feet. When it gets to a parking aisle, it'll be 24 with the aisle. So just city standard.
okay. Curb and gutter all the way to Carlton.
And it'll be two-way.
Okay. Thank you.
Question. So you said it's gonna be a private road.
It'll be
That's coming through?
access easement, yes. So it will
So
be
it's
on
gonna be
private property.
It's gonna allow public pass through though, yes?
Absolutely.
That's correct.
Because I was just saying, as far as that may, because the area's already congested with traffic, and when people find out they can pass through, they're gonna pass through.
They'll be able to do that. That's the idea.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking it's gonna create traffic on Fox Road, when they come out.
And the city has a very strong policy in favor of connectivity and cross
right.
access for that very reason, to try to get some of the traffic off of public streets. So, we all like to find one of those rather than having to get back on 401, for instance. So that will be.
That's right. You're suggesting what the city wants.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, but they're gonna be backed up in your
That's right.
apartment complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other? Okay, thank you. Okay, any comments from the commission? I mean, I'll just say, looking through the findings, I was going through them. I think with the cross-access agreement that they have in place, I think that's huge. Makes it pretty easy for me. you know, the interconnectivity is huge, which is really what the city's looking for. There's no additional maintenance for the city, which is great. And having the TIA reviewed and approved already by the city, I think, you know, having those in place, I'm good with it. I don't look for other thoughts, comments.
And there is pedestrian access, even in addition to those private streets, there's additional sidewalk access too, which is nice.
Through the tree conservation.
I think given the cards are dealt, it's achieves what it can. I don't think we need to put conditions on it, but just be thoughtful about your wayfinding and signage, just because it's not traditional pass-through or cross-access. Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a motion?
Got a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, I'll second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Approved. Thank you. We'll go ahead and close that and finish our internal business, which I believe is really just elections, right? Do we have anything else to add prior to?
No, I did, while we had the meeting, I did email everyone on the commission, the city manager's office and IT has requested some more information, kind of demographic stuff, so they could do some data visualization. I forwarded it to you. It's a link. You know, I think they've got some of this information already, but they want to use it as part of a kind of a pilot project. So feel free to respond to that, fill out the form with the link by, I think, next Wednesday is a request. So that's the only other thing.
Okay.
But I didn't really have much more than that. Next meeting, I'm not going to be here. Charles will be here, heading staff's seat here. But we do plan to have David Moore from the Downtown Raleigh Alliance here to talk about the Legacy Project, partnership with the Black Main Street Project that they're doing. So he'll be here next meeting to talk about that more.
Great.
And you'll have a couple of holdover administrative alternates, the old code stuff. So they'll be coming forward.
Great.
Have you successfully found a replacement for Lee?
Well, just to let you know, myself, I'm no longer in the Urban Design Center. They moved the administration of the Parents Commission to the zoning group, so I've been transferred there. But I'll still be working a lot on urban design issues, mainly through text changes. Still working with y'all, so 90% of my job's not going to change. But we're going to be under that umbrella, like Board of Adjustment. I think they wanted to realign some of the commission support to make more sense that way. So.
Okay.
But they are considering what they want to do with that position, whether it's going to stay in the Urban Design Center or go to zoning. So time will tell. But from what we have now, I'm it with Catherine. And then we're having Charles help out because I won't be here and he's had the experience. So.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for the update.
Thank you. All right, Jake is not here, but he did take some nominations for our next chair, vice chair, and I believe you reached out to everyone.
I sent an email as a reminder of the folks that had been nominated for the positions, and I think I checked with everybody, heard back from everybody except Adam. So everybody had taken their name out except Chris had said he'd be willing to consider vice chair. And so Adam, I didn't hear from you, so I didn't know if that meant you want to be considered for the chair and vice chair.
I was going to say I would be happy to be considered for vice chair, but if there's nobody else willing to.
You didn't respond, man.
That's funny.
Do you want to keep your name in for the chair?
Am I the only person?
You're the only one. We can't take nominations from the floor now.
You can Are there other?
So what happens if I am not? If I take my name out?
Then we'd ask the commission if there's any nominations from the floor right now.
And we can, I mean, we can hold this off until our next meeting if people feel more comfortable with that, or if you want time, or if other people want time to think about it and consider it. I mean, that's fine as well. There's no reason, there's no rush
to do it now.
for
Yeah.
today, so,
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready to jump on
Okay.
that boat quite yet.
okay,
Sorry I didn't respond. Crazy week.
all right. I'd suggest that, let's hold this off till our next meeting, if that's all right. And give people some time to think about it. And if you all want to respond to me or to Carter with your thoughts, once people do some soul searching, hopefully they will, that'd be great. How's that? Does that work for everybody?
Corey, I think you do a great job as a chair.
Well, I
And
appreciate that.
Candace, great job as a vice chair.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah.
There's a way we could keep her on a little longer. Is there a way that we could keep her on a little longer?
Well, the bylaws do say if there's a, if one of the positions is vacant, you vote at the next meeting, and Candace's third term is actually up at the end of this calendar year, so, and we have had folks that have served, you know, as
rest of
an
the year.
officer until they were rolled off, and then we re-elected, so, but, she's indicated that she wants to help out the next chair and vice chair, but not actually as in one of those positions.
All right, thank you. All right, well, let's do that at our next meeting.
Well, I just got slapped by Chris. So I think it's a good time to just let everybody know that due to growing demands at work and some additional roles and responsibilities they've taken on for firm-wide that conflict for this meeting, this will be my last go at it for at least for a little bit. So otherwise I would have gladly stepped into chair, vice chair role.
Well, we sure
Just to be sure, you're talking about not re-upping. You're not talking about resigning.
Yeah, I'm not resigning. I'm just not re-upping. Yeah, no, we wouldn't leave you high and dry. But it's been such a pleasure, and I told Carter and Corey this. I know I'm behind my back. I'm sure people laugh out my gray comments, but I think we've done a really good job of taking the gray and finding the great gray and the great design between the black and white text to make this a better place. And I say that wholeheartedly. And it has not always been this way, and we should all be proud of where we are.
Yeah.
So thank y'all.
Thanks for serving.
Yeah, appreciate it.